Welcome to the May 18th, 1:30 City Council meeting. At this time, we will rise for the pledge and prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father God, we just come to you, Lord, just thanking you, Lord, for what you do. God, thanking you for the protection that you provide on this city, Lord. And God, that just the things that you are doing in this city, Lord. Lord, just the promises that you are, the promises that you've promised us, Lord, and that you're completing, Lord. Just even today with the annexation of land, Lord, into the city, Lord, that's just a promise, Lord, that you've promised that you would increase our domain, Lord, that we could take care of your property, Lord, and God, I just thank you for that, Lord. I just praise you, Lord, for all the things that you are doing, Lord, and I just thank you for the city staff, Lord, the city employees, Lord. They're just, I saw one this morning, Lord, and I'm just so thankful, Lord, that I can actually talk to them and just say, just reassure them, Lord, that maybe not everyone sees what the employees do for this city, Lord, but we do see, Lord, that they bless this city in such a mighty way, Lord. And I just thank you for just all you do. And I thank you, Lord, that Bubba is here today, Lord, and I thank you for his recovery, that it's, going well, Lord. And I just praise your name in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. And at this time, we'll have questions and comments from any citizen that would like to speak.
She's gonna speak. She's gonna speak about that dog's being down at the fork.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm
If you
sorry.
can- No, that's okay. No problem.
Apologize.
We're glad
I'm
you're here.
Terry Cochran, and I'm here representing the board of directors and concerned citizens of the TCY Agnesville complex is how I'm going to address that. So, yes, I live in Skellytown, but I have been volunteering for that for over 20 years. So, we are having some issues this year with dogs at large, dogs that have aggression towards our smaller children, dogs not on leashes, and I don't know if Gary Winks made it. No. Okay, he was going to try to be here. He is the one having to clean up after all these dogs. It has been proven that they have not even done it, picked up after their dogs in the process. So what we would like to see changed and happened is no dogs / pets allowed. Yes, that's going to be hard, but it can be done. We do know we have to alleviate and keep in consideration for the certified, what am I calling it, service animals. But with that, we could also, we talked about how would you do that? Well, they have to have a registered service certified animal, and those animals all have to wear their badge and their vest to be present in the open out like that. So to you all, I'm here representing several people that have signed a little makeshift petition, and it's not finished yet, to see if we could get the wording changed in the current ordinance that just says, and I'm going to refer to the picture on the sign at the field. All pets must remain on leash and be handled by adults at all times, with the city ordinance 90.20 with the dogs running at large prohibited. And then the next sign that I believe was just placed this year is no dogs on the field, which I know that is an issue that Mr. Winks would probably be better to address on that one. But we would like to have it to read that no dogs, pets allowed in the premises anywhere, starting with the exterior fences. And that's about what we have. And I don't mind ever coming back to help resolve this and hope that we could have your blessings to get this resolved in a timely manner, and appreciate you listening to me today. And Mr. Garrett, I don't know, Garrett, thank you for getting back with me, and I assume you're mayor, and thank you for getting back with me. So that's what we're asking for, so short and sweet. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, I was
Thank
sitting
you.
out there waiting on y'all.
And if there's no one else, we'll move forward, and at this time, we'll have the city manager's monthly report.
So I wanted to highlight just a few things from the last month and that are in the reports there. And like I did last time, I'm going to start with just some points on finances. So you got your finance charts. And if you'll see, the general fund revenue remains above our 5-year average. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into sales tax. And at the same time, our expenses are below our 5-year average. Now, I would say that keep in mind with the expenses, a lot of that's tied to, we have quite a few openings, especially in police and fire. We've filled some in fire, but police is still significantly short. So, that, while it looks our expenditures look good, I don't want you to think that that's something that's going to go on, because we would definitely like to fill those positions. Water and the water fund is above their 5-year revenue and above budgeted revenue too. Of course, we're seeing still a significant increase in water sales to our industrial customers. And I would just kind of keep in mind, I remind this a lot, and I will keep reminding every time I get that, is revenue in the water side is good, but that will drive expensive capital projects in the future. So, we're already working on new wells and things like that. So just keep in mind that revenue there drives expenditures as well. So you'll notice that in sales tax, we were 26% above last month's revenue, or this month last year. Keep in mind that these collections are for March, and last year, March, we all got told to stay home and do nothing. So we expect that to be up, but we are now officially above our budgeted numbers, and with the nutrient turnaround pretty much in high gear, we do expect that to continue for the rest, at least the rest of this summer, and hopefully the rest of the year. Sales tax is a significant portion of our budget, and when people buy locally, that money stays here and we get to do things for them. When they buy in Amarillo, that goes to the city of Amarillo, and Amarillo gets to do things for Amarillo people. You'll also notice that the hotel occupancy tax is now a little bit above our budgeted revenue, so we're starting to see some recovery in our hotel occupancy tax. You'll also see that chart now has data for our venue tax that started to support the Dome project, so we're excited to see our hotels recover. And again, with the nutrient debottlenecking project going, if you've driven around, the hotel parking lots are pretty full, so I expect, in the short term at least, for those numbers to be rebounding quite well. So you'll also see on your sheet, one thing that I gave you is we just found out yesterday that our budget for 2020, the budget we're currently in, did receive the Government Financial Officers Association Award for Distinguished Budget Presentation. If you remember, this is one of the things that we did to change our budget look and to change our process a couple of years ago, and so this is that recognition that we finally got. And I'm going to read you a portion of their press release that covers that. It says, the award represents a significant achievement by the entity. It reflects the commitment of the governing body and staff to meeting the highest principles of government budgeting. In order to receive the budget award, the entity has to satisfy nationally recognized guidelines for effective budget presentation. These guidelines are designed to assess how well an entity's budget serves as a policy document, as a financial plan, as an operations guide, and as a communications device. And so I think this is a good recognition of our continued work. This definitely goes to the council's strategic pillar for public engagement and transparency. And we've taken a lot of steps in that lately. The budget is available online, and if anybody wants to know anything about city departments or how it's organized, I'm an educated government nerd, so it's interesting to me, and I like to think it's interesting, but it does have a lot of information in there, just about how the city's organized and what the departments do in addition to the financial information. So if anybody wants to read more about that, it's out there. But I appreciate the finance department and city staff and all the departments. They've been putting up with me for a year and a half, changing a lot of things they weren't always used to get the budget changed to that format. But here is our fruit of that labor, and so I think that's exciting to have that.
For sure.
It's good.
A few other things with emergency management, IT, and dispatch. We did install our final 2 outdoor warning sirens last month. That's the, so we have replaced 8 warning sirens in the last 3-year cycle. So now every area of town is covered by new outdoor warning sirens. The newer ones are significantly louder than the others, and I do find that that's somewhat interesting. A couple of the comments on Facebook when I posted that is that I noticed several people comment about how for the first time ever they could hear them. And I will just kind of reiterate that I have in the past, but remember they are outdoor warning sirens. You're not supposed to necessarily be able to hear them inside your house. If you do, I'm glad, and that's a positive side effect, but that is not the goal. So keep in mind they're there to warn people that are outside that you need to get inside, both for tornadoes and other hazardous situations. But we're excited to have that complete. The new ones now communicate over wireless communication, so they poll each other. We know immediately when one stops functioning. These are battery operated, so if we lose power, they'll still be able to sound. So I do feel that that's a definite, increase in service that we're providing to our citizens with that. We did have a news story with Channel 10 on the Everbridge system, and if y'all remember, about 1.5 years ago, we reached out and changed our notification system to Everbridge. I would encourage anybody that hasn't signed up for that to go to borgertx.gov/alerts. You can sign up, and especially with severe weather coming, that's what calls you or texts you or emails you about watches and warnings, other severe weather, winter weather, wind weather, or anything else that we want to put out there. So it is very good. Another tool in that notification as we get into severe weather season. So if people haven't done that, I do encourage them to take advantage of that system.
And there's a link for that on the website.
Right. If you go to borgertx.gov, you can get there, but we do have a direct link, which is just borgertx.gov/alerts. And some of that's been on both our Facebook and the OEM Facebook, and we'll continue to do that. But that is a really good option for people. Even if you're not from Borger, you can register, and if you're in Borger, you can download the app, and if you're in our area, it'll alert you. And so it ties together, so we're excited about that. We have started to see some equipment installed in the basement for our public safety radio system upgrade. So we are starting to actually get tangible things in process for that. So I know that the emergency services are excited to have some improved communication here in the short term. Parks and Recreation, you'll notice that we did install new climbing structures at Cofield and Agnes Howe. At Agnes Howe, we replaced a merry-go-round that is probably older than me. Probably not older, but probably definitely. But then also, yesterday it was exciting. We got our new furniture that was budgeted for Cofield Community Center. So we have new tables and chairs for Cofield Community Center. I know a lot of people will be excited about that. That's great. Facility's been, I think, used more than anybody would have ever anticipated, and I think they'll be excited with the newer, nicer furniture that we have in there for their use now as well. Seen a few questions.
And the youth center, I know that's
Oh,
been
yeah.
a while, but the youth center, stuff is really, looks good too.
Yeah, we do have some new gaming systems and some new lounge, and we're really, taking steps to, make the youth center more appealing to the youth of the community. A lot of our public feedback has been wanting more things for kids to do, so when the ping pong table broke, it came down to, do we replace it? Or do the kid, what do the kids really want? So, we're trying to adapt with that and realize that, ping pong might not appeal to the more modern kid. But it is really nice there. I'm excited. The swimming pool will be opening, we believe, right now we're anticipating June 2nd will be the first day for the swimming pool to be open. Park recreation is happening again. I know I mentioned that last month, but it's set to begin June 7th. Right now we have 12 kids registered. We'll end up with a lot more than that. I know a lot of people kind of wait till the last minute with that, but I encourage anybody that's got kids interested in going to the summer park rec program to go online or go by the youth center to get them registered. Had a few questions. Excuse me. The Huber Park splash pad.
You need some water?
You can tell the storms are coming around. The Huber Park splash pad will be opening May 19th.
Okay.
And so we've seen a few questions on that. So we'll have water out at Huber Park May 19th. In the police department, the police recruits, we have 4 recruits starting in the police academy. They started Monday. So we're excited for them to get out. Those should graduate sometime around August, sometime in August. And of course, we are short there, so that's excited. With the nutrient turnaround, we have seen an increase of traffic. So they're trying to keep some enforcement on that, and we do ask people to be mindful, especially on 1551 when they're in high areas, high traffic times, and down along Cedar Street. The fire department, I put that in your weekly update, but the Texas Forest Service recognized the fire department last week. The Borger Fire Department is the highest, I don't want to word this. They have put more hours into the Ready, Set, Go program than any other career department in the nation. And so that ties to some of our hazard mitigation and our public education and outreach programs. So I think that that's very good recognition for some of the efforts that mitigation of the fire department does, and you know, those mitigating actions and making sure that our community is as prepared as possible for anything that might happen. You've also probably seen them around. They've definitely been doing, the mitigation crew's been doing a lot of mitigating efforts while the weather's been good, so they've cleared out some.
Great job on 10th Street. Great job.
And that's really nice for us because it, you know, not only does it reduce that high fuel load and protect the community from wildfire, it does definitely improve the aesthetics of the areas as well. They are scheduled for live fire training next week, so we're excited to get the fire crews back to some live fire training after partnering with Amarillo to use their training facility. That was approved in the budget this year, so we're excited that the council's allowing them to continue to train and develop their skills to protect our citizens. And I guess like with every other vehicle, our fire truck that you know, should have been delivered in March is still delayed to maybe October. Hopefully. So we'll have to deal with that at some point, but apparently it must have some computer chips in it or something too. With Public Works, we continue to work with LA Fuller on the parking lot on Weatherly Street. You know, weather this week has been kind of delayed. After a few delays, we're making pretty good progress with the base and getting ready for concrete, but it's kind of hard to pour concrete in the middle of rain and wet dirt, but it is coming along now. I'm excited for that. I mean, you can really kind of start seeing the crown and the final finishes.
But they don't have problem getting concrete like they thought?
They have a different, they're trying to work through a different concrete contractor. Their concrete team is kind of tied up. They are also doing the concrete work for the Amazon Distribution Center in Amarillo. And so 1 million square feet is apparently a lot of concrete.
Yeah, I guess so.
And from what I understand, Amazon is in a hurry. And so they're incentivizing speed. And so pretty much anybody that's working on Amazon is giving them priority because they're rewarding speed.
I see.
But I do think that should be completed by the end of June.
Okay.
The alleys in the area torn up by the gas company, that's not our project yet. That's actually the gas company doing an independent project, which are, while all those are torn up, we are still waiting on manholes and pipe to continue our utility replacement in the 400 and 500 block of Main there in that alley between Main and Weatherly. The trash bash went off last month. We collected 65.5 tons of trash during trash bash and disposed 689 tires. So that's a significant amount of trash that we got out of our community and out of our county, and I'm appreciative of the transfer station and the extra hours that everybody, including planning and development, put in on the trash bash. Beach bash is scheduled for June 5th. Public Works has been working with them to make sure we've got the barricades and everything ready and the sand ordered for Beach Bash. I know everybody's excited to have that event back again after our COVID hiatus. The other thing that's exciting with Beach Bash is we've got a farmer's market coming back to town.
That's cool.
And so they'll be setting up in Wanda Klaus Center City Park during the Beach Bash, and then they'll be coming back, I think weekly is the plan, hopefully, for that going forward through the summer. So we hope that our residents take advantage of that, and we can help getting new events and ongoing events in downtown. So that's exciting. Communications, Marissa's been working with Channel 10, and Channel 10 has a program with KGNC, so we have monthly appearances now on KGNC and Channel 10 on what they call The Chat. So that's our opportunity for our communications division to, put forward what's going on in Borger and the exciting and new things happening. They also then do a pre-recorded segment for Second Cup with Ali Allison that appears on Thursday. So we're getting some regular press coverage through Channel 10 and KGNC, and I think that's an exciting thing to do. And we appreciate Marissa working with Channel 10 and building those relationships so that, we get to be one of the first ones on there. So I'm excited about that. Planning development has been pretty busy. As you can tell by the agenda today, we do have starting the process to get the development procedures for Tractor Supply and their new plat. We'll talk about that in those items. We do continue to work with developers on some potential housing developments and new housing for the community. And we have been in contact with a few other retail and commercial developers that I think will probably come to fruition later in this year. So we definitely have some community development going on right now too, and it's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out. Utilities is busy right now with Nutrien. So S.J. Lewis, if you remember, S.J. Lewis is the contractor that put in the Northwest Wellfield supply line. Over the last year or two, we've had several line failures due to improper bedding. So S.J. and Park Hill have agreed to replace those. We've been waiting to coordinate with Nutrien for that replacement. The project at Nutrien, their plant is down right now, so they're not using as much water. So we scheduled and got that coordinated. So S.J. is actually working this week to replace the entirety of that PVC pipe with the new bedding and the new pipe, so that hopefully we can alleviate any of those future problems going forward. So they've been, their progress is slowed just a little bit because of the rain too. Big open trenches don't deal very well with lots of moisture. And then, of course, they are still trying to coordinate and get ready for the Main Street utility project, which is the sewer and water lines from 4th Street to 6th Street, where we have the collapsed concrete sewer line, and then we're going to replace the water with that. So hopefully we can begin those within a couple of weeks. We are facing some supply chain issues with that. I don't expect that to improve anytime soon, especially with the increase in federal funding for those type of projects. I kind of only anticipate supply issues and price escalation as more and more cities start doing projects funded by federal money. That's pretty much the roundup of the happenings in the city for the last month up to today. I'm excited for everything and proud of everybody that the city's done, but I'll entertain any questions if I didn't cover anything.
I just want to say it's significant and it's worth repeating when a fire department gets recognized and the performance-based budgeting stuff. I've always seen it in theory. I've never seen it done because it's not easily done. And I know for a lot of directors, it was like, what is Garrett making us do? But it's readable, it's transparent, and so anytime an organization of reputation gives a shout out, I'm going to echo it, okay? It deserves to be echoed. Good job. And we do a lot of things right in this city, and here's 2 external organizations saying so.
For sure. Anyone else? If not, then we'll go on to the consent items. And I don't know if anybody has any questions or anything on, especially number 9 or anything that they want to discuss before we go on. And if not, then we'll entertain a motion on the consent items.
I make a motion, we approve consent items 6 through 9.
Second.
All in favor? And it passes. And then items to consider, item 10, conduct election for mayor for the election year 2021-2022. Mrs. Sauls.
I will pass out the ballots.
Just put your X on the page.
Yeah, just mark the X.
You're not double X or triple X. Oh, I just wrote it on the back. I did.
See, I did mine right and Milton did his wrong.
That's what I get for, that's what I get for joking with you.
Okay, so this is a ballot for mayor. The ballot, you should only mark one, not two. So if we go with the ballots that are marked correctly, Karen Felker, 3 to the 2, which were
That's
incorrectly done.
We can live with that.
Sorry.
We can live with that.
She'll learn for next year.
Well, congratulations, Karen.
Well, thank you. I will do my best. And at this time, we will take nominations for Mayor Pro Tem. And I will nominate Milton Uli.
You got second. We all in
Anyone?
favor?
Yeah, we're all in favor.
Okay, so Milton Uli.
Thank you.
And on to item 12, consider and take appropriate action on an interlocal agreement between the Borger Independent School System and the City of Borger for the fiscal year 2021-2022 School Resource Officer Program. Mr. Edwards.
Congratulations, Mayor.
Thank
Nice to have you at the helm for another year.
Thank you.
The SRO program, this is a contract we do every year with the school. We've been doing this program for, gosh, years and years and years. Originally started with 1 officer, expanded to 2 and then to 3, and it's been 3 now for at least probably the last 10 years. The contract that we are proposing is exactly the same as last year, with the exception of obviously the dates and the salaries. You may notice that the salary, even though we're anticipating a cost of living increase in the upcoming budget and an increase in health, the salaries, the total package did go down. That's because we had 2 of our officers that were well tenured, won elections and are now JPs. So those officers have obviously been replaced. The officers that they were replaced with are not on the pay scale that they were, but they will gradually work up to that. So over the next several years, if those stay, that will elevate back up fairly quickly. So any questions at all, I'd be glad to answer.
And we have these slots filled with volunteers.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. We still need more help in the police department, but the SRO spots are filled.
Right. And we're 7 down on police?
Correct. 3 if you account the 4 that are in the academy. So, eventually they will fill 4 openings, and so,
Okay.
And the money that the independent school district pays is kind of, the reason that it's less than, is because we consider the 3 months of the summer.
Correct.
The city
Basically,
pays for.
to figure it, we could calculate the entire salary for a year. They
Right.
pay 75% of
Okay.
it, and we pay 25%
I was
of
thinking that
it.
was right, but I couldn't remember.
But, yeah, so
Which
because
will-
it counts pretty well.
which will, because then they'll come out and they'll work for us, because school's about to get out, so those 3 officers will be able to do other duties during the months that the recruits are in the academy. So by the time the recruits get out of the academy in August, a little bit before school starts, that'll give a little bit of time, then the SROs will go back into school, but we should have hopefully 4 new officers at that time, so.
That situation actually helps really well with the summer vacations, because, there's 3 extra officers that can
Yeah.
help cover some of those vacations, especially now.
That makes sense. Any comments or questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Thank you.
I
Eddie.
move that the interlocking agreement between the Borger Independent School District and the City of Borger for the 2021-22 School Resource Officer Program be approved as submitted.
Second.
And all in favor? And it passes. Item 13, receive the petition requesting annexation for a 2.11 acre tract of land out of a called 3.81 acre tract located in the west half of section number 23, block Y, Arnold and Barrett Survey, abstract number 4, Hutchinson County, Texas, and then take appropriate action on resolution R-020-21, approving a service plan for the provisions of city services to be offered. Mr. Garrett, Mr. Stradlin, sorry.
You're good. I respond to a lot of different things. I'm going to go ahead and talk about 13 and 14 together because they're pretty much the same things. So, of course, we've been working with both the landowner and the developer that is working on bringing a Tractor Supply to town. Of course, Tractor Supply wants to be annexed into the city so that they get all the insurance benefits of city services and city water, city sewer. And so, you know, as a condition to provide city services, we require you to be annexed so that we get the full benefit and control of the property, you know, just like we would with anybody else, to be fair. Annexation law does still allow us to be able to voluntarily annex based on petition. And so this one's pretty easy. There is one single landowner involved. The first 300 feet of the property is already in the city limits. And so where they're talking about is it's going to be just west of where the fireworks stand just built a new building. And so the first 300 feet of that property is already annexed. So what we're annexing is about the next 200 feet or so. And that's the difference between the 2.11 acres that we're annexing versus the 3.81 acres of the total tract. So once this is done, it'll all be in the city limits. So once we receive an annexation, we then have to negotiate a service plan with the landowner prior to us starting the annexation process. And so we have done that. It's very similar to every service plan that we've done with any other land coming in. Of course, extension of police and fire is easy. It can be done with our existing departments without any need to add anything. Trash is the same way. They'll immediately have trash. They will be able to extend water and sewer. Of course, it will be at their expense, and we're working through that with the development for how that is. But there is a water line in close proximity, and we're working through the sewer design to get them to the sewer, which is behind the United Express. So once we accept the petition and approve the service plan, then we can start the annexation process, which is what the next ordinance does, is introduce the annexation ordinance and then sets the public hearing to allow for public comment. So that's kind of that process with that. Of course, city staff would recommend approval. We're, you know, excited for any commercial development and extension of the city and the benefit that will bring to the city. But I'll answer any questions if anybody has any.
Any estimated dates of completion?
I don't have an estimated date of completion. The developer has indicated their desire to start construction by August. So I would say probably sometime around the first quarter of the year, probably about the same time the dome finishes. You can, you know, go get your stock feed and then go to the stock show at the dome.
Anyone else? If not, I'll entertain a motion on item 13.
I move to adopt resolution R-020-21, approving the service plan for the 2.11 acre tract of land proposed for annexation.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And it passes. Item 14 is really what we just talked about.
It's the same thing. I will also say that in addition to these two items, you know, in the future, you will still have to approve a plat of the land, and there will be a rezoning request coming. So, you know, this is just the first step in that process. So expect probably 3 others before we can issue a permit. But we do have their plat application and their rezoning request, and are working through those as well. Those will have to start in the Planning and Zoning Commission before they get moved and recommended up to y'all.
If there's nothing else, we'll entertain a motion on item 14.
I move to set a public hearing for Tuesday, June 1st, 2021 at 6:30 PM to allow for public comment and introduce on first reading ordinance O-007-21, annexing a 2.11 acre tract of land out of a 3.81 acre tract for the proposed tractor supply.
Second.
All in favor? And it passes. Item 15, consider and take appropriate action to introduce on first reading ordinance O-008-21, creating Article 1.06 Park and Recreation Division 4 Hike and Bike Trails. Mr. Spradlin.
So we've had the nature trail for quite a while, but recently with, between a partnership with Six Pack Outdoor and Phillips 66, we've added a hike and bike trail out in Johnson Park. And since they've been doing some work out there, we've had a few little issues come up. And we knew for a while that we probably need to, put some rules in place for how that is used. And so after working with Six Pack Outdoor and Phillips 66 on that, we've come up with a set of rules to govern the use of those trails. Of course, this is written generically enough that it will apply to any hike and bike trail that the city would ever construct, own, or operate. And of course, that is a big part of the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Master Plan, and we've had a lot of feedback for trails. And I think the feedback on the new trail has been quite positive, and I think it's been used significantly more than any of us could have hoped, so I think that's been a good thing. But they are having problems with some motorized vehicles out there, and of course, motorized vehicles can tear up a hike and bike trail pretty easily, so that's definitely one of those. But the rules are pretty simple. No alcoholic beverages, no glass or metal containers, those break and create hazards out there. Pets must be on a leash, and pet handlers have to pick up their waste and put them in appropriate receptacles. We're working on getting those and trash cans put out there. And of course, the only motorized vehicles that are allowed are like the city's gator to go pick up the trash or do maintenance type activities. We didn't want to restrict Six Pack from bringing their little bulldozer back out there to maintain the trails, but this is not an off-road trail. This is not a dirt bike trail. This is not a four-wheeler trail. This is not a dune buggy trail. This is a hike and bike trail. No littering, of course, no swimming or wading in any body of water. There's a lot of running and flowing water out there, which makes it a really nice trail, but, it's not really safe for anybody to be in there. We don't maintain that. No horses. As much as we like horses, and I like horses are kind of like ATVs on hike and bike trails. They can, their hooves and horseshoes can tear it up pretty good. So we're trying to reduce that. No hunting. There again, you don't want guns out there anyway, and you definitely don't want dead animals laying around if you don't have to. And then, of course, the ability for us to close if we need to have a special event or do maintenance. And then we have limited hours to sunrise to sunset. We don't plan on it's too expensive and costly to have lighting out there for a trail of 7 miles. So it does need to be, I think, restricted to daytime uses. Other than that, I think those rules are reasonable and pretty simple.
How are the bicycles classified with the motors on them? I'm kind of curious, because I know that's going to come up. Because I seen a guy about to go on that trail with a motor on his, one of those motor.
Well, the way this is written is it would be prohibited because it's a motorized device, and for recreation, I think there's probably some leeway in how that is enforced, but motors apply increased torque to the wheels, which are what tears up the trail.
And the motorized vehicles are a little bit more dangerous for hikers and bikers.
Right.
And I was curious because I know one of the guys said that it's in a certain area that they're riding those motorized. Is there going to be some kind of sign put out in that area mainly so that they will know that they are not allowed out there?
Yeah, I included the sample sign in the packet, which is
Yes.
online, and that's constructed to be 24 inches by 36 inches, so it's a large sign. So we'll put those at the trailheads. In my mind, I have about 4 locations. I think those need to be, including that location down on the bottom there by
Right,
Rock
where
Creek
they're-
where that's happening.
Yeah.
I do expect, and I've talked with Jason about this, I do expect to put some smaller signs, probably throughout the perimeter, I haven't exactly determined what it's gonna say, but it's gonna be focused on, no motorized vehicles, park property, for more information, go to. but more of a little small sign that we can put more cost effectively more often.
Yeah.
The bigger signs with all the rules are, you know, they're a little more costly to put up, and we don't want those every 100 feet for 7 miles.
I just, yeah, I mean, I just think it'd be a good thing at that one point where they're mostly, where it's mostly happening.
Right, and we are trying to, you know, we do have some benches ordered that the mayor has used out of her project fund, and I'm adding some trash cans to go with those, and we're working on some other things to kind of finalize the rest of the trail before we kind of have a good grand opening. Now, we need to make sure that all the signage are out there. We're working with Six Pack Outdoor and Phillips to work on mapping and big trailhead signs and some trail markings so that, you know, it is definitely out there for you to use, but I mean, I would just remind everybody, it's still kind of a project in development, so I know it needs trail markings, I know it needs some signs, I know it needs trash cans, you know, those things come with time.
And I noticed that a lot of the trails are already kind of overgrowing. I guess the bikes and hikes will be the ones that will kind of get rid of that. I mean, there's nothing we really can do to take care of all that, because I mean, they're getting pretty grown up on some
Right,
of
Six
the
Pack
trails.
Outdoor, you know, they plan on coming in, I think, once a year to do some maintenance,
okay.
but the 6-foot trail should get packed into a 3-foot trail.
Okay.
And so they do expect some overgrowth back into the outside of what they cut, to where the bikes and the foot traffic pound down and keep the trail better in the 3 foot in the middle.
I love it out there, so I'm really excited about the whole trail system. If no one has anything, then we'll entertain a motion.
I move to introduce on first reading ordinance O-008-21, amending Article 1-06 Park and Recreation by creating Division 4 Hike and Bike Trails.
All in favor? And it passes. Item 16, consider and take appropriate action to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? And we're adjourned. Thank you all for attending, and thank you for.
I think we ought to have a special